Greetings, true believers. One Big Boss here, and it's good to be back. It's been 3 months since my last review, but we are back with another new to retro review. Get your spandex ready, fans, because today for episode 19, we are going to be looking at Marvel Superheroes War of the Gems for the Super Nintendo. A pretty old classic that deserves to be looked at, especially with all the Marvel movies coming out lately. I figured this was a good thing to do. I've been seeing a lot of them and then watching the old ones, so I thought, hey, why not jump into the game and do a Marvel video game review, you know? Developed by Capcom back in 1996, the game was released on the ending years of the Super Nintendo, what with the PlayStation out and all. I still remember those days vividly, clinging onto the old-style ways of gaming that I grew up on as a kid. War of the Gems was an action platformer and side-scroller. I guess you could say it's got its elements of beat-em-up style thrown in there as well. The game is a spiritual successor to the 1994 SNES title, X-Men Mutant Apocalypse, which my godfather had given me for when I completed First Holy Communion. And yes, folks, I was forced to go to First Holy Communion, but I got a lot of money and video games out of it, so can't be that bad. Anyway, the graphics are a little better since it's developed by Capcom, and it is a significant improvement over the 1994 X-Men game. And also, another thing about this game was, executing moves is pretty much like playing Street Fighter, so anybody used to playing those games can pick up the controls for War of the Gems pretty easily. The story is based off the Infinity Gauntlet series. The game features some of Marvel's most well-known characters, even though I'm pretty sure that Thanos had killed pretty much half the characters in the comic book series. Anyway, Adam Warlock heads to Earth to help collect the Infinity Gems with the help of the heroes of Earth and to stop Thanos. So in the end, Captain America and the rest of the team gear up for an incredible battle of epic proportions as they travel across the world to battle doppelgangers, supervillains, and to collect the gems to restore peace to the universe and stop Thanos and his evil ways. Gameplay for each character is different, as each one has a different set of skills to help you advance through levels. Some are good, and some actually hurt the characters. Your basic attacking is Y for punching and doing attacks, and B for, well, jumping. Captain America, who I consider the Ryu-based character because of his strength and speed, because they're balanced. He's able to throw his shield in various different directions and perform the shield slash attack. And, of course, if you jump into the air, you can also do the triple kick combo move. The Invincible Iron Man, my personal favorite character, can double jump just like Captain America and has the ability to use projectiles to assist him. He has decent strength, and unfortunately his speed is very slow, but he has 5 main attacks, more attacks than any other character in the game. He has the ability to uppercut, body slam, and grenades as well, plus projectile beams. I prefer to use him to get quickly through the levels because of his air dash move. He can just zip right through anything. If anything blocks him, it's counted as, it's pretty much the body slam move. He can just blow right through characters unless, he has to stop to fight them. But he's got a good amount of abilities to get him through the levels, and personally, I love using Iron Man. Always loved him. Anything, love the movies, so of course, playing this game as a kid, I always used Iron Man. Next on our character list is the Incredible Hulk. He's the strongest character in the game, duh, but also the slowest character, and his massive build makes it tough to defeat enemies with projectiles, and taking on multiple enemies due to the fact that he's pretty slow and he just gets bombarded. I found some levels almost impossible to play as the Hulk because he can't duck lasers. I mean, you can't block lasers, you can't block incoming enemy attacks. But honestly, he's a pretty solid character, especially if you equip them with the right gems. He's only limited to 2 special attacks, but for this Green Giant, it's all you really need. Just like in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Hulk only has level 1 hyper combos. He doesn't have a level 3 like everybody else, because he's just that freaking awesome. He's the Hulk. The Amazing Spider-Man is fast and also agile, so you can bet his strength is pretty low. But if you're smart, you can work around this with certain kind of gems. Due to his stance, he can dodge enemy attacks easily, dodge incoming laser beams, anything. It makes him a real hassle to be hit by enemies, which is good for us, the players. He can also reach different areas, much like Wolverine, but because of his jumping abilities and his web-slinging moves, he'll be able to get other items much easier than any other character in the game. Except maybe Iron Man and his air dash or his double jump, but I would still bet on Spider-Man, because he's the better choice sometimes. Personally, I didn't use him that much, but with the strength gem, I did use him as best I could. The old Knucklehead is up last in our character roster, and he's balance of where he stands in the character list is between that of Spider-Man and Captain America. His claws give him the ability to climb walls like Spider-Man, and his attacks are pretty lethal, when you give him the right gems. He's a pretty good character, despite the fact that he can't use his regenerative abilities or anything like that in this game. Now, speaking of gems, each gem grants you a special ability. Reality Gem enables you to find hidden items. Time Gem speeds up the character's walking speed. Soul increases your health. Space enables you to jump higher. And Power is, well, that's pretty obvious. And Mind, well, uh, I don't know what that does, because after you beat Thanos who was holding it, well, the game ends. The only way to get it is by inputting a certain code, if I remember correctly. Okay, time for the part that everyone loves and hates, but like I always say, it's gotta be done. The good outweighs the bad in this game, mainly because, well, here's the good. Music was amazing for this game. I don't think there was one track that I didn't like, but it was Capcom, and it was the music of the 1990s, mixing that with Capcom. How could you go wrong? Every track they did on video games were pretty amazing. Also, the characters they chose for the game, they were a good choice. Everyone plays pretty much like how they do in Marvel Superheroes for the PlayStation 1. It's really easy just to pick up these characters and start playing, especially if you sort of played the old X-Men game. Personally, I loved using Iron Man. He was my favorite. Like I said, I've always been a fan of Iron Man. He's just an awesome character. I love the suit, love the technology. Tony Stark is just amazing. But, other than that, I'd have to say, I liked using Captain America a lot as well. I thought that, his character was pretty good in the game. Sometimes I felt like I just couldn't use him at all, or maybe I just wasn't controlling him the right way. But, no, I had no problems with the characters they chose. I mean, I don't think I would have asked for them to throw anybody else into this game, honestly. Now, graphic-wise, I really can't complain about. The game looked amazing, though some people say different because the PlayStation was gaining so much popularity back then, but if you really stopped to look at the graphics of this game, it really showed you the power of what the Super Nintendo could do. And I tip my sunglasses to those who helped create this game. I mean, you gotta look at it this way. Super Nintendo was probably the leading system at the time. I mean, Sega was good and everything like that. They had a lot of things. I mean, Super Nintendo had that blowback when they took what do you call it there, the blood out of Mortal Kombat, and then the Sega was kind of champ for a while. But Super Nintendo created such memorable games, pushed the limits of what graphics could do, and that's why I was really impressed with this game. I mean, it looks even better than the X-Men game. I mean, you had a couple years to improve on it and everything, so I would hope so. But I loved everything about this, even the Boston Aquarium level where it's based off of from my hometown. As much as I despise this level and it's evil. I mean, anybody who plays the game will know how frustrating this level is. And why I played this level as the Hulk, I do not know. I have no idea what I was thinking when I did that. And now for the bad. It was pretty much just minor things. There isn't really a lot that I didn't like about this game. There was really a lot of redeeming qualities, but just some minor bad things. But I gotta say this. With only two buttons being used, why was X or L not used? Or R and L, like, for blocking. I mean, this game sometimes had everything in the kitchen sink being thrown at you. Why couldn't we block? Why weren't we given the option to block attacks, especially since Captain America has a shield? I just don't understand how that worked at all. Another thing that bothered me about this game was the underwater level and the gas level. Now, I understand Wolverine, Spider-Man, and Captain America falling in those levels, but why the Hulk and Iron Man? Nothing stops the Hulk, really. They could have made it where it was just a lot longer for his air to decrease, like giving him a bigger meter or something like that. It just would have made more sense. But Iron Man, seriously, you'd think Tony Stark would have built that suit so he could survive underwater and against gas and everything. I don't understand why it just doesn't seem to follow the comic somewhat to me. I mean, maybe I'm missing something from the comic, but I'm pretty sure we've all seen Iron Man underwater with the armor that he has, even like the non-specialized armor. So I don't know. To me, that just bugged me a little bit about this game, really. I also feel as if the game could have used a two-player battle mode, or maybe like a two two-player co-op mode or something like that. I don't know. I feel like it would have added a little more to this already amazing game. Maybe because the system was slowly dying, and maybe they just didn't think to put it in there, or they didn't think it would make that big of a difference. Maybe they were too far along and just decided they had to work with what they had to. But That would have actually been kind of cool. But I mean, I suppose if you want to play a two-player Marvel fighting game, you just play any of the Marvel superheroes, or MVC 1, 2, 3, all that stuff. You know, Marvel superheroes versus Street Fighter. It's all there, really. And my final complaint for War of the Gems is in the volcano level. I was not really impressed by this level at all. In fact, I was greatly angered by it because if you try to launch a projectile, the energy board you are surfing on moves with everything you do, so it may miss the target or a specific item. You know, I felt it really hard to control. I mean, it was a fun level, don't get me wrong. A level like this was pretty cool, and it was really well designed, but I honestly just couldn't take it. Like, trying to fire Iron Man's beams on this to hit the Silver Surfer, I couldn't do it. Anything, and just trying to avoid everything, it was a really tough level to get by, but I mean, you know, again, it's something just a little bit minor. It doesn't mean that you should think, oh, well, maybe all levels are like this in the game. A lot of the other levels in this game are actually really well planned out. Some are a bit annoying, like this level, but it doesn't make it a bad game whatsoever. I'll tell you that. Okay, true believers, does this game hold up to anyone's expectations? Well, for me, it did, and honestly, I think any Marvel fan would like to get their hands on a game like this, because honestly, a lot of the Spider-Man and X-Men games from the 90s or like the late 80s weren't really that good from what I remember and from what a lot of other people say as well. So, I mean, if you were a fan of the 94 X-Men game and you just love Marvel, then this game I would definitely recommend. I mean, buying this gem would be amazing. No pun intended. Well, it lacks the two-player mode and replay value. The game is just fun to play overall, and just keep playing it over and over, using different characters to beat different bosses, seeing which gems work for what. I mean, you know, it's really a fun game, and I can't say anything really else good about it. It's that awesome of a game, and it's what a way for the Super Nintendo to go out on top with a game like this, you know? Alright, that about does it for another New to Retro review. If you enjoyed this, please like and comment and subscribe to our page because it's free, and in this day and age, free is a damn good thing. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter in the accounts below. Good to be back in action, everyone, and speaking of back in action, the boys of Contra return as the aliens invade Earth once again. Next time, on episode 20, we will review one of the coolest games I ever played during my childhood, Contra 3, The Alien Wars for the Super Nintendo. So until then, I will see you all next time.